Triaxus is a planet of dragons, dragonborn, and a third species who may potentially have evolved from elves. Today we're going to talk about the planet, we're going to talk about some special locations, we're going to talk about what society looks like on Triaxus, and then we're going to talk about some notable locations. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, my name's Nathaniel. This is a channel where we discuss lore around Starfinder, Werewolf the Apocalypse. If that's something that you're interested in, I would love to have you join me at the table. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can do that by hitting the subscribe button with the bell notification. If you're listening to this in an audio format, you don't need to do any of those steps, just enjoy the sultry sounds of my voice. Triaxus is the sixth planet in the Pact World solar system. It is also known as the Wanderer because of its irregular orbit around the sun. In modern-day Starfinder, Triaxus has three species that exist on the planet: Dragons, Dragonkin, and a third one that we're going to talk about in a little bit because I think they have some origins that go right back to the Pathfinder days. So we're going to talk about them in a bit. I mentioned Triaxus has an irregular orbit in the sense that it is not circular, but it is oval. The tip of the oval will actually place Triaxus closer to the sun than Castroval during its summertime. And during its winter, it will actually be further away from the sun than Brethida. This makes summering and wintering not really good options for you if you are ever planning to visit Triaxus. The best time to go is really going to be in spring and fall. The measurement of time is known as the Pact Standard Time, and it's the same measurement of time as we know it now. 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 365 days in a year. This is important to know for Triaxus. Because of its very long and irregular orbit, the time it takes for this planet to go once around the sun is actually 317 Pact Standard years. So it really takes a long time to get that birthday if you're planning a party. The actual rotation of the planet will give you a standard 24-hour day. It's just one long-ass year. Triaxus has three major land masses, and they are located in the Western Hemisphere. This would be known as the Drakelands, as well as a massive island known as Ning. On the eastern side, you have a landmass that is named the Allied Territories. And then there's a small tract of land that connects these two large continents together, and this is called the Skyfire Mandate. Many thousands of years ago, before the Gap and into the Pathfinder history, Triaxus actually had several races on it, and they were, of course, Dragonkin, Dragonborn. They were the Triaxians. You had dragons, Dragonkin, elves, gnomes, and several other races as well. This will become important later. Triaxians were a little different in the sense that they resembled humans, and they also resembled elves, but they were entirely different. They had evolved to adapt to the planet's very harsh living conditions, being that the summers were extremely hot and the winters were extremely cold. But in the Triaxus of Starfinder today, we see that there are only three major races on Triaxus. That would be dragons, dragonkin, and the Ryphorians. The Ryphorians, like the Triaxians before them, are extremely diverse, and the way that they appear changes greatly depending on what season they were born in. Keep in mind that a Ryphorian has a lifespan of about 80 years when it comes to Pact Standard Time. It is my belief that the Triaxians and the elves, going back into Triaxus history, and we're talking thousands of years back, they either combined their societies or they mixed their species together and they evolved into what is known as the Ryphorians today. Triaxus is no stranger when it comes to conflict, and neither are the species that live on this planet. It has been well documented and well proven that even before the Gap, there has been large amounts of conflict on this planet. And this conflict was largely between the Ryphorians and the dragons. And the Dragonkin of the planet were actually known to fight on both sides, because they are humanoid, but they are also part dragon, so that's why they were both there. You had Dragonkin who would have sided with the Ryphorians, and then of course you have Dragonkin who would have sided with their dragon brethren. After the Signal, as space travel was developed on the planet, territorial disputes just became something that wasn't important anymore, and when the Pact World signed the Pact Treaty, that's when the hostilities really came to an end, and that was about 300-ish years ago. The planet of Triaxus is currently in its winter season. That means it's furthest away from the sun. And this season will, of course, shape the lives of everybody who lives on this planet, probably for their lifetime. The dragons of the Drakelands are masters of their continent. Although the Pact Treaty has stopped the war on Triaxus, this hasn't stopped dragons from being dragons. They still plot against one another, vying for positions of power, corporate interest, military might, whatever goals they have, they still fight each other. The dragons do view their offspring and they try to keep them as pure as possible. They don't like mixing of the breeds, but it does still happen. Hence why you have Dragonkin. Dragonkin can mostly be found in the Drakelands and the Skyfire Mandate. And the Dragonkin are not as sticky about bloodlines and mixing of the species. Many of them do have very strong connections to the Ryphorians, and they like to keep them that way. And moving to the eastern side of the planet, the Ryphorians will make up most of the allied territories. The separation of Ryphorians and dragons seems to work well for most people right now, and while there are racial tensions that do happen within the planet, for the most part everybody seems to be getting along mostly okay. Government on Triaxus is a very complicated thing. When you start to compare the ruling bodies from the Drakelands and from the allied territories, you'll find that while they do have similar goals, their systems often conflict. The Ryphorian military of the allied territories puts on almost weekly displays of force. They present themselves as a unified front, but it is important to note that they are actually not. They are a loose collection of militias that come together when there is a singular threat that needs to be taken care of. There is a planet-wide ruling body as well called the Council, but it has 28 members and they are all from varying places on the planet and varying races, so this tends to not work out very well. The dragons view themselves as superior to the Ryphorians, however they do also have a ruling government of their own. The Drakelands has dragons who would rule either nations or factories, important places of commerce and manufacturing. The size will vary, but even some of the weakest dragons in the area will have some form of warehouse or shipping yard that they would control. And then we get to Ning. Ning is an island unto its own, and not just figuratively, but also literally. Ning never participated in the Dragon Ryphorian Wars. Ning has also not recognized the Pact Worlds as a treaty, and Ning is treated as a separate entity in the Pact Worlds as itself. Ning is a manufacturing supercenter. There is a council in the Pact Worlds who does decide who leads the Merchant Republic of Ning, and the one who is elected to rule this republic is called the Immortal Suzerain. They will be in charge of all the business-making decisions, they will have to work extremely hard, sleep very little, and be responsible for a lot. The Immortal Suzerain has to work extremely hard. They have to make all the business decisions, they sleep very little, and work themselves almost to death. But you do get to live a life of luxury if you are the Immortal Suzerain. Before we continue on to some of the notable locations on Triaxus, if you're enjoying the video today, I will encourage you to hit that subscribe button with that bell notification so that you never miss a video when I produce one. If you're listening to this through Anchor, please consider making a donation to help support my content and support the channel. The following locations are places that I have found interesting, or places that an adventure has taken place in, or somewhere that I feel is good to have an adventure take place in. And they're in no real particular order. The Bora Wood is a coniferous forest that always stays green no matter what season the planet is in. However, lately, the needles on the trees have begun to change a color of brown. Some botanists that have examined the trees say that they are still healthy, but they are undergoing some sort of a mutation, and this has attracted the eye of the Xenowardens. Cumo is a busy Skyfire Mandate trade port, known for smugglers who offload goods, and if you really want to get something, anything illegal, you can get it at Cumo. Grenloch is only available to those who pay the right price. Grenloch is balmy, very pleasant, considering the planet's winter state. It offers exotic recreation, fine dining, and fantastic entertainment. Unless you are in the ultra-wealthy, you will never experience the joys and the ultra-luxury that Grenloch has to offer. Grenloch was the creation of a female elf technomancer who goes by the name Andlara Renell. Basically what happens is your ultra-rich body gets put into a stasis and your consciousness is uploaded to a virtual reality, which is pleasant. There are rumors that Andlara went into massive debt to build this high-profile resort. Debt to some really bad dragons. Not just dragons in the metaphorical sense, but like literal dragons. Regardless, the resort is operational and it draws off-worlders by the thousands every year. Zo is a city-state in the Allied territories. This is a very active spaceship hub. It is full of mechanics, it is full of pilots, and there are tons of engineers working round the clock to better design drift engines, refine their own designs around drift engines, or whatever technological advancement on spaceships they can come up with. Zo is the happening place. Serozanyx are the sprawling plains. They are the home to a metallic gold dragon going by the name of Serozanyxia. And who said dragons aren't creative enough to come up with good names? Serozanyxia keeps an alliance between the Dragonkin and the Ryphorians in Skyfire Mandate. She has helped those on both sides of the dragon and the Ryphorians in their conflicts. No one has physically seen this dragon in decades. Although no one has seen her in many decades, her diplomatic relationships are still active and well maintained. Some believe that her body has been maimed to some horrific extent and her consciousness has been uploaded somewhere and continues to help those in need. The Caldera Basin is ringed by volcanoes and some of the tallest volcanoes on Triaxus. The basin holds a 30-foot deep pool of water that is, well, I use the term water loosely, it's sulfuric water. This place is called home by a bunch of red dragons, one of which who goes by the name, and I'm gonna get this wrong, so bear with me, Uzilzilian, the undisputed champion of the Caldera Basin. She claims to hail from the elemental plane of fire. Because her strength is so legendary, and because nobody else really sees the point in trying to take a place of active volcanoes in which nobody else but red dragons could live, nobody has challenged her to try to take the place that she lives in. However, some spies from unfriendly neighbors have discovered rumors that there may be a very valuable hidden treasure inside the basin. I think Triaxus is a neat planet. There's a lot of history, there's a lot of lore to go on. It's actually very intertwined to some of the Pathfinder lore as well. It would not be difficult to make an interesting adventure happen on this planet by itself. Not to mention that the Dragonkin or the Ryphorians are a playable race. You can be one of those as your character. Tell me what you think about Triaxus in the comments below. Have you ever played a Dragonkin or one of the Ryphorians? How did that go for you? If you enjoyed the video today, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. That would really mean a lot to me. If you're listening to this through Anchor, please consider supporting the channel through the Anchor Artist Support Program. Your support would really mean a lot to me. Up on the screen, over here, I will have a playlist of the Pact Worlds, so if you wanted to get a little bit more lore, please check those out. YouTube will have made a recommendation for you there. My name's Nathaniel. You've been watching The Maple Table. Thank you so much for your subscription. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.